Alright guys, welcome back. Another week, another video series. This week's standard portion of the video series is going to be over a deck that, well, I personally brewed myself. Though it's had some success, it's won a couple of game days. It's top 8 in PPTQ by somebody. If for those of you who don't remember, John Finkel top 8'd a Pro Tour with a deck called Dark Seasons, and it was featured around a card named Seasons Past with ways to recur it. It had dark petitions in it, and it was just a ton of removal spells and just re-loop, get all your removal spells back with Seasons Past. So for those of you who don't know, Seasons Past is a sorcery. It is 2 green and 4, and it says you may return any number of cards with different converted mana costs from your graveyard to your hand, and then you put Seasons Past in the bottom. So Seasons Past itself never actually hits the yard, and so the idea is you just play a whole bunch of different removal spells and disruption spells, and you just drain them of resources, and then once they're out of resources, you can Seasons Pass and refill your hand and just keep going and going and going. This deck runs a lot like a control deck, but I mean, a non-typical control deck as it is tap out control. You don't mind tapping out on your turn since a lot of your stuff is removal. So let's get into the list. For the list, we have 25 lands. We have 4 Blooming Marsh, 3 Evolving Wilds, which a lot of people have questioned why Evolving Wilds is in the deck. And it's in here for a couple of reasons. Evolving Wilds can be a really good late game flash with Seasons Past. You get Evolving Wilds with Fatal Pushback, and you can kill virtually, anything in the format that you're worried about typically. Also, it has sideboard implications. Our sideboard, we'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, it runs 5 forests, 4 Hissing Quagmires, and then the rest is all swamps. We have nine swamps. As you can tell, the deck is majorly black, and you really only want 2 green sources throughout the entire match. So let's get into the spells package. We've got 4 Fatal Push, which I was originally on 3 with 1 in the sideboard, but with vehicles and Black Green Constrictor being so much everywhere, and now Red Black Aggro is starting to take off, like Fatal Push just hits almost every single one of their threats, and it's just a really good removal spell. And late game, it does hit every one of their threats, say Green Gear Hulk. But you have 2 Harsh Scrutinies just to get some information on their hand super early so you can kind of set up and chain your removal spells efficiently, and you get the Scry 1, and you can rip one of their creatures out as well. 2 Transgress the Minds to hit their a little bit higher spells and get them out of there. 4 Grasps of Darkness. Again, just creature removal is the name of the game in the early game. You want to play and get to turn 4 through 6. That's where you kind of shine. 2 Murders, 3 Ruinous Paths, 3 Succumb to Temptation, just kind of as a card draw, and it's really cool to chain off with Yahini's Expertise as well. And then another one that people are questioning is mainboard Lost Legacy. So, Lost Legacy, I've heard a lot of people say, well, how can you mainboard Lost Legacy if you don't actually know what they're running on game 1? What if you just miss? So, Lost Legacy, even if you miss, you don't feel terrible because you get to see their hand and you get to see their entire deck. So you can kind of assess what threats you're worried about, what threats they don't have, or what they might be trying to do. So again, you can set up your removal spells accurately and not waste your resources. But with Lost Legacy, my strategy here is I will always name the card and the color that I will have the hardest time beating. For example, like white, if I see white, I will probably say Gideon, unless they're like in a Jeskai shell, in which case I know there's Saheeli combo. I will always say Saheeli to get the Planeswalker out. And if I whiff, I whiff, but I get that extensive information that will help me out in the long game. So we have 2 Diabolic Tutors to kind of fetch up Seasons Pass or Lost Legacy or Yahini's Expertise or a win condition. And Diabolic Tutor Seasons Pass is really sweet because in the late game you can just Diabolic Tutor, get Seasons Pass, cast Seasons Pass, make Diabolic Tutor your 4-drop you get back, and then just every turn you can set up a Seasons Pass loop, which is insane. We have 2 Yahini's Expertise just kind of as the alternate board sweep, and you can chain removal spells or hand disruption spells off of Yahini's Expertises. And as far as like the win cons go, we've got 2 Gonti, Lord of Luxury in the main board, 2 Kalitas, Trader of Get in the main board, 1 copy of Nissa, and 1 copy of Ob Nixilis in the main board as well. These 2 Planeswalkers, their ults are really, really good. Nissa ults on turn 2, which means you're going to draw an additional card almost every turn. Ob Nixilis is a removal spell that also draws you additional cards. And then we have one copy of Nissa's Renewal in the main board, just as a Miser 6 drop to get back with Seasons Pass, and also bail you out. You gain 7 life, and you thin your deck out 3 lands. And if you have a ulted Nissa, for 6 mana, Nissa's Renewal becomes a gain 7 life, put 3 lands into play, draw 3 cards, which is just absolute sick value. Like I said, the deck just bleeds value. It just never runs out. You have to draw really, really bad to just run out of the value that you want to do. So let's get into the sideboard now. The sideboard options I've got one Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot in the sideboard, just as like the life gain and artifact for Delirium if I need it. I've got 2 Tireless Trackers, which are really, really good against control decks. 2 Appetite for the Unnatural, which are good against the Gear Hulks and things of that nature. And then I've got 3 Natural State in the sideboard for the vehicles decks, and just those hyper aggressive artifact shells. Just, seven copies of Fatal Push in that deck is against that deck's pretty good. I've got a 3rd Kalitas in the sideboard as well, just for the heavy aggressive decks that just want to go all in on the creatures. And the good thing about Kalitas is Kalitas with Yahini's expertise doesn't actually kill Kalitas. So if you wipe their entire board and you have Kalitas alive, you're normally going to get a bunch of zombies, and you're going to get to cast maybe up to 2 spells for 4 mana. So again, it's just that value train. We have a 3rd copy of Lost Legacy in the sideboard once we do kind of know what they're playing. If we feel like we need a 3rd Lost Legacy to kind of trim down their threats a little bit, we can bring that in. We got 2 To the Slaughters in the sideboard for the Planeswalker heavy kind of decks. The ones that want to play creatures and walkers, we can just Delirium and get those. We have 1 Pick the Brain, just as another discard spell that can also get all the spells out of their hand. And then we have 2 copies of Transgress the Mind for some more disruption against control. So, like I said, this deck's been having some really good success. We're going to run it through a league or some matches, and we're going to see how it goes. So I will see you for round 1.